Whenever you talk about bad boys in football, one guy that always seems to get a mention is Joey Barton. So welcome to UW Football, and today we will be looking at a very eventful career of Joey Barton. Joey Barton came through the ranks at Manchester City, making his debut for the club in 2002. Over the next couple of years, his performances had seen him become a regular in the first team. That was until 2004 when he was dropped from the starting 11 against Southampton. That was the first time we saw what a hothead this guy was, because he stormed out of the dressing room and did not attend the game. His second major incident, well, that indicated what a nutcase Barton was, and it came just 6 months later, when at a Christmas party Joey Barton assaulted a youth team player by shoving a lit cigar in his face. His reasoning for his actions was that the youth team player wanted to light his shirt on fire. There was no proof of that. Manchester City wanted to sack him then, but they did not have the billions back then, so couldn't afford to do so. So instead, they settled by fining him 6 weeks worth of his wages. Then 5 months after this incident, Joey Barton decided to run up on a pedestrian at 5 in the morning. The pedestrian suffered a broken leg, whereas Barton suffered yet another fine. 1 month later, Joey Barton was back at it again, when in a pre-season tour of Thailand, he nearly assaulted a 15-year-old Everton fan. Why? Well, that young fan was just bantering Joey Barton off, and if it wasn't for Richard Dunn, Joey Barton would have assaulted yet another minor. This incident saw him get sent home, and he was enrolled into anger management. Barton then had 1 year without any controversies, but his run came to an end in October of 2006 when he lost his composure once again. Everton fans booed him throughout the game, probably because of the previous year's incident, and Barton again reacts, this time by pulling his pants down and exposing his backside to the Everton crowd. This time around, the FA intervened and they fined him. Around December of 2006, Barton had found his feet once again and he was playing his finest football. That time around, he thought that he should be the voice of the fans, and he started criticizing England World Cup stars like Frank Lampard for their poor showing for the national team. 2 months later, Barton got an England call-up and he made his debut, coming on for, well, you guessed it, Frank Lampard. Awkward. But 1 month later he went back to his bad habits when he lost his head once again. He was arrested along with his cousin for vandalizing a taxi outside of McDonald's. Why? Well, because it just wouldn't wait on them. He got off this because his cousin did the attack, but this was yet another criminal offense that he was involved in. 2 months later, he was involved in yet another dressing room assault. His victim this time around was Usman Dabo, who then proceeded to press charges against him. Barton, as a result, admits to the assault, and then in July of 2008, he was handed a 4-month suspended jail sentence. And then in November of that very year, FA hands him a 6-match ban for that very incident. By the way, during this time, Manchester City let him go. He signed for Newcastle United, and on his unveiling, he put all the blame on his boss, Stuart Pearce. 6 months into his Newcastle career, he decides to sit out a Boxing Day match because of an injury. And then that night he proceeds to get wasted on a night out and assault yet another guy outside of McDonald's. He spent the next week behind bars, and when this case came to a close in May of 2008, he was sent to prison for yet another 75 days. So far, it was all physical assaults with him, but in November of 2008, he decided to throw racial slurs cabriolet on the horseway. Allegedly, as FA did not find enough evidence to punish him. Then in May, he loses the plot once again. He two-foots Xabi Alonso and then proceeds to scrap with then boss Alan Shearer in the dressing room. As a result, he was suspended by the club. He then punched Morten Gamst Pederson in a game in November for no reason. Again, he was charged with violent conduct by the FA. The following August, he had an incident with Jorginho, where he grabbed Jorginho by the throat after Jorginho made most of the contact. He was innocent here for once, but this is what is called his Newcastle United exit. Wow. QPR signed him. Barton in the press conference claimed that he is signing for the club with ambition and he wants to win things here. That season, QPR survived relegation on the final day, whereas Newcastle United finished 5th. At Queen's Park Rangers, most of his controversies were around things that he said or he tweeted. Here are some of his finest work. His list of physical altercation hadn't stopped, by the way. In January of 2012, he headbutted Norwich City's Bradley Johnson. That night, he got a red card for that. Then in May, on the final match day, he elbowed Carlos Tevez, got a red card for that. Then attacked Sergio Aguero, got a 12-match ban for that. And he nearly decided to pick a scrap with Mario Balotelli. Thankfully for him, Mika Richards intervened and stopped Balotelli. Then in September of 2006, just a month after joining Rangers, he was part in yet another physical altercation, this time with his teammate Halliday. That was the end of him at Rangers. In 2018, he decided to become a manager. He took in charge of Fleetwood Town, and then in April of 2019, he was arrested when he was trying to drive away from an alleged incident. He had apparently beating up an opposing manager in the tunnel after Barton's Fleetwood Town lost 4-2 to his side. In October, he pleaded not guilty, and then just a day later, he won the Manager of the Month award. Honestly, I'm not making any of this up. One more thing, his career came to an abrupt end in April of 2017 when he was caught betting on games that he was playing in. A big no-no in FA's book. He was suspended for 18 months and he then played the victim card and retired. So yeah, this was a video on a very interesting blow. A slight nutcase, but a very interesting guy in Joey Barton. Like if you enjoy, subscribe, and I will see you soon.